Ole, ole, ole. Oh, wait, wrong song, wrong song. Hey, we are back. It is Focus on You with Phil, and that's Oscar on the other side over there. This is our PNN Santa Claus
Hey,
coming straight at you.
as soon as I'm out of here, I'm getting my hair cut because I look like a Sweeney Todd at this point.
I think the only problem is that he doesn't have any gifts. Only has coal. Isn't that right, Santa?
Yes, you follically challenged man. Yes.
You're just jealous of my baldness. All right, so you're here with Focus on You with Phil and Oscar, and we have a great, fantastic guest for you today. Personal friend of ours, Mr. Josh G. We call him Joshua G because I have messed up his
You
name
can't
several
pronounce
times
people's
today.
names.
I've messed up his name several times today. Therefore, I do not want to mess it up again. All right, so we're going to have him come on. We're going to do a wonderful interview. But first, of course, we're going to feature none other than Mr. Oscar Capel, and he's going to talk a little bit about what he's doing with Legal Shield because I think everybody needs one. Everybody should have one. It's like a golden retriever. All of us should have one in the house. All right, so go ahead, Oscar. Talk about it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oscar Capel. I am your local Legal Shield ID Shield associate. What that means is we now have access to the legal system. The courthouse says equal justice under law, but we know we only get the law that we can afford. So if you're not affording a good lawyer, you end up in trouble. So what Legal Shield has done is it's taking the pay by the hour mostly out of the legal system. You get access to a law firm 24 hours a day in case of emergency anywhere in the US. But you have a legal question, call them up, get an answer. Don't go with Google, Yahoo, and Bing. That's a legal firm most people use. So call a law firm, ask them your question, get real answers from a real law firm, and get it done right. Because a lot of big legal problems can be solved at its inception, but people don't call their lawyers because they know it's $400, $600, $700 an hour or any part thereof. So picking up the phone, you're already putting a bunch of money out of your pocket into legal service. So we've taken that out with this service. The other thing we're able to do is identity theft restoration, and that's the most important word because if you've if you've been watching the news, you know everyone's social security number has been up for sale now since about 2 weeks ago when there was a massive breach. So if you don't think your identity has been stolen, wake up. It has been stolen. It's a matter of time before you find out who is using it. We just talked to someone who was in our group that said her social security number came up 4 times last week. People were trying to use it. And since she has ID Shield, that's how she found out immediately. The difference is that we have licensed private investigators to do the heavy lifting. So it takes the time, the money, and the stress out of your life to do that. Then, last part is every new person that we sign up and help protect their family or their business, we donate a part to Our Rescue. And Our Rescue is a nonprofit that spends their time teaching law enforcement how to find um, child sex traffickers, how to find people that are trying to hide hard drives and thumb drives with pictures of children on there. So they have dogs that they lend out to police forces that actually sniff out these things. It's incredible what they do. So my number is 646-578-7097. If you want to get a hold of me, ask me any questions about any of this, I will be happy to answer and help you guys sleep better at night. Thank you for the plug. Phil, let's get to our guest.
Okie dokie. What guest?
Mr. Josh G.
Josh G. Is he on? Is he on? I'm
There he
joking.
is.
Josh,
There we go. I'm in the show.
welcome, Joshua. How you doing, sir?
Thank you. Doing all right. Doing all right.
been like 3 hours since I saw
Cool.
you last.
I know. It's been so long. I forgot what you
Oh
guys
my
look like.
goodness. I did. I was like, I know I recognize that face somewhere. All right. So Joshua, listen, man, tell our folks a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So yeah, I'm Josh. That's what I go by. So I am a headshot photographer, among other things. Also do events, basically anything people related. I'm down to either cover or photograph, with a focus on headshots for businesses and individuals. That's what I really enjoy doing. Although I enjoy events too. So that is me. I'm also a dad to two awesome girls, 13. One of them just turned, Sophia, and then Amelia is 7. So that's a big part of my life. And also, not to get too much into it, but I actually am dealing with the loss of my wife on June 15th, suddenly from a heart attack. But got lots of love and support in that department. Obviously, a challenging thing to go through. But you hold on to the good memories, and as I heard a speaker once say about loss, we don't move on, we move forward with that person, and I'm a big believer in that. So that's what I'm trying to do. So that's me in a nutshell.
Wow.
That's a lot to cover in one nutshell. But I love that
Yeah,
you are a
it's a big
facial.
nutshell.
It's a big. I love your bio. You are a facial expression elicitor as opposed to a headshot photographer, because I like that, because
Yes.
I have seen your work. And like I said this morning, I have not attended any of the functions you were at because I grew up in the Bronx, and the word headshot, is a trigger for me. So I will be at the next one to get my facial expression elicited, and I'll have a new haircut, so I won't look like some sort of
Yeah,
wild
I'm
man.
big on that. I do not like. I don't think people look good when they have like a forced expression. Usually, 9 times out of 10. If you're a model, maybe, but like most of us, we have to be kind of coached into that so that it looks genuine, authentic, and like the real you, pretty much.
Phil was about to say something, or
No, I wasn't about to say anything. What happened?
I thought.
Huh? You paused. Are you okay? Are you okay?
So
How many fingers do I have up?
all of them except these are showing, the other
Ah!
ones aren't.
So, Josh, tell us a little bit, like, how long have you been in photography? What got you turned on to this?
So yeah, I was going over that with Oscar before you jumped on. So it was, I want to say about 6 years ago ish. I picked up a camera just for no reason. I just happened to pick one up and fell in love with it. A little later, although I've always had a creative streak in me. I grew up playing drums and piano. Still love music, so it wasn't too surprising that I fell in love with it. But I've learned a lot over the past couple of years. I didn't realize, I think until you do photography, you don't realize how much goes into it. At least I didn't. Like, I was like, oh, you just point and click, like, but there's so much more to it. And then I discovered Peter Hurley, who's actually in Manhattan and teaches literally thousands of us headshot people all over the world. He's been doing it for like 25 years. It's great. And it's awesome because like I get to meet colleagues, and we all kind of like try to help each other out, help each other get better. And I stumbled across, he has YouTube videos, and I stumbled across them a few years back, and I was like, that sounds like fun. And the rest has been like the journey since then. So I started the business though about 4 or 5 years ago. But I was doing school photography on the side to kind of like, pay the bills and whatnot. And then about 2+ years ago, I decided, I wasn't being valued because they're national companies and they're just about like kind of assembly line photography for schools. So I decided to jump into this full time about 2+ years ago. So that's how I got into it.
What?
Congrats on taking the leap, man. That's
Yeah,
a big step.
Thank you.
yeah. Owning a business is like jumping off a cliff and learning to fly on the way down. So it
Yeah, pretty
is.
much.
It's a tough.
Yeah.
Um,
That's an interesting scenario, Oscar.
you know it. We've been there. You're like,
It is true.
It kind of is
wake
though.
up
It
in the
kind of
morning
really
like,
is. You don't know what, like, at least for me, because it's my first venture into it. Like I didn't know anything, I kind of learned as I went, and like I didn't know how much like, you're selling yourself and marketing and posting on social media, like all that sort of stuff, had to jump in and learn it on the way.
well, the good
Yeah.
thing is,
Well, I was a professional from the beginning, right, Oscar? I mean, I knew everything from the get go, and it was been smooth sailing ever since.
all right. I gotta post our original shows that look like hostage videos.
Hey,
Like,
hey, no evidence. No evidence needs to be shown. Okay.
Yeah.
I have those.
Yeah,
I
but
have those original 14-hour videos. Like everyone will watch us forever now.
yeah, that is so true. Though you start off, you know, I was having a conversation with somebody. I think it was yesterday, and our whole thing was, sometimes you just have to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starting is the first step to pursuit. Like, you don't pursue by sitting down and waiting. Pursuit is more an action word than a passive kind of like sitting back and looking at things from the perspective of, especially when you have kids. Like you
Yeah.
have two little girls. I mean, I'm sure that's on top of mind 24/7, you know.
Yes.
And so that's a motivator right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's hard.
So
It's hard though sometimes, especially even before my wife had passed. Like, because uh, jumping to it full time, like the income side of things, like it takes time sometimes to get there and get the consistency. And it's like for people around me that work a regular job, they're like, what are you doing? Like, how are you going to get by and this and that? And it's like, I felt the same way, but I know, I have a little bit of the vision in mind to know that, ultimately sticking with it, like it's going to be better than what I could do in other routes, at least for me. And, but not everybody sees that in the moment. So it's like, especially the people closest to me, even my kids, like I'm glad they are beginning to see some progress and also, have supported me, whether they understood it or not, they've supported me, along the way, which is great. Um, yeah, but that can be
well,
challenging sometimes.
here's the deal. Now your reputation is shot. You've already been seen with us. So you have no choice but to stay with this
Yeah.
dysfunctional family we have here at PNN. We've all gone through stuff, and we're still going through things. But the mentorship and the group dynamics of this group is fantastic. We do so much together,
Sure.
and we grow from each other. So we love to have new people on board, and it's like, yeah, everybody brings their special thing into to PNN, and especially now that we're going really hard into becoming a business solutions center. So all of these things are really kicking in. It's just so good. I'm glad you joined us today. Um, for people that don't know you yet, what has been your journey here? Because obviously sorry the passing of your wife, but everybody, as Imus used to say, nobody gets through this life without getting kicked in the stomach. So what brought you here? What have you overcome basically growing up to get you to this point?
Oh, that's Well, I'll try
It's
to
time
give
to be, right?
yeah, right. I'll try to give a synopsis of everything. So I was I was pretty fortunate in a lot of ways, that I had my mother, who was a strong influence in my life. She passed 7 years ago, but she had about almost 30 years in AA recovery. But on both my dad's and my mom's side, the chances for me to wind up like that were definitely stacked against me, and I did go through that. So that's a big part of my life story. Uh, I think my first attempt was at like 21, to get into recovery and kind of get my life straightened out, and then it bounced back and forth for a long time until about 6 years ago, when like I just made the decision to jump in, with both feet. Even though at the time, like my confidence in just life in general and my ability was like this small, because I was like, you tried it and you tried it and you tried it and you kept messing it up. And but something told me, like that was my shot, and things just kind of pan out. I feel like if you're putting one foot in front of the other and showing up, to where you got to show up. Like, people were putting my life on the recovery side of things, that I could relate to, and helped me along the way, still helped me along the way. And then, just life wise, I was fortunate too, because about 10 years ago, I met my wife, and she got into recovery about 6 years ago too, before she passed. And I am fortunate in that regard, because she's been a nurse. I think she was a CNA when she was like 15 or 16. So she's,
Wow.
I've been lucky in that regard, especially, the past couple of years of starting my business, because I didn't have to worry as much about the financial side of things. I mean, I had some money that I put into my business and stuff like that, but financially, like, I knew, especially a few years ago, she started working back at a hospital. So income wise, like, we were okay. So I was able to, like, kind of invest in this, and not have to worry quite as much. Because I feel like that's a big thing that I'm grateful for, because, if I didn't have that, like, if I had to keep working and raising kids and her working, I don't know where I would find the time to pursue this, unless I never slept, but you kind of need to sleep. So
Not
It's always
sleeping. Not sleeping is something I know about. I know about not sleeping.
you can
Because
text Phil
that
about
is
4 a.m. He'll answer you immediately.
I have a 4 hour increment that I sleep, and then I take a nap between
Oh,
three
okay.
and four. Yeah, somewhere in the afternoon. If I don't take that nap, my body just goes 5, 4, 3, 2.
Listen, I get to sleep 8 hours. I sleep a whole 8 hours, but not in the same day. So a few hours here and there. Yeah,
Yeah,
Josh,
so you know,
what you're saying is real important. Everybody's looking at the entire staircase and not looking at that first step they need to take. They're like, oh, but recovery is going to be like, no, it's one day at a time, one hour at a time, one step, next step, next step. It's a process for all of us to get to the next step and not go, oh, the answer's so damn far away. I'm never going to get there. It's like, bring it down, eat that
well,
elephant.
yeah, exactly, Oscar. That it takes a daily process. The now is more important than the later, and the past is something that you can't control,
Yeah.
right? So once you get that perspective of what I can do now, let me do that, right? Because that's going to affect tomorrow if tomorrow comes for me, right?
Yeah.
There's one of the things I've learned is that I have no guarantee of tomorrow. I learned that last year. Last year, I thought, man, I was planning for tomorrow every day, and then my whole
You
thing got
almost
shot
checked
when I.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I just I realized that my mortality is real, and the only thing you have is now, right? You don't have tomorrow. So if you're gonna spend time with somebody, spend time with them now. You know,
Absolutely.
if you love somebody and you value their space, enjoy that. Because it's like there's you have no control over everything else.
Yeah,
If you count all the things you have no control over versus all the things you do have control over, it's maybe about 1% of everything.
yeah,
The rest is like the rest is like, okay, I can only inspire myself to the challenge. You know.
exactly.
Josh, before I forget,
Absolutely.
we were talking about mentors. You mentioned Jeff Brown. Who is that for
Yes.
people that are not familiar with that?
So he's actually, let me think what his tagline is. The photographer's mentor. If you look that up on LinkedIn, he's got a couple books actually, and it's interesting because although his program is kind of geared and marketed towards photographers specifically, it's a lot of like branding and marketing and stuff to do on LinkedIn and how to set up your LinkedIn profile to optimize it. Like very helpful stuff. So I would recommend him or to anybody that's like, or the books. You can look up his books on Amazon. I think he was actually a bestseller at one point, if I recall. It might have been this year. So yes, Jeff Brown, the photographer's mentor. Definitely, you could find him on LinkedIn, and he's been great. Like his workbooks and stuff. I'm still working my way through them, but they're quite valuable. Like just in selecting your colors and the reasoning behind like certain fonts and one of the things he had me do last year that was really helpful was when you're starting his program, you go and you kind of pick your ideal client and you kind of like one thing that was really helpful was he had me go and check out both some of my competitors' websites, like in my local area, but then also like imagining like 5 websites that my ideal client would be visiting. It doesn't have to be like connected to business, but like if it's a high level executive that's a woman, maybe like Nordstrom's or Tiffany's, and kind of look at their fonts and how they set up their website, and just to get some ideas of how like to brand and stuff like that. So that was definitely a helpful exercise. And like imagining, what was the other thing? Is imagining like where they would go and where they're going to hang out at, so to speak, so you can this is where I got to be because that's where my ideal client's going to be. So, and that stuff I had no clue about before I learned it. So
That's every business owner's dilemma is,
Hmm.
if you make the best bagels in the world, that's all you know how to do. You don't know how to run a business. You don't know how to run employees. You don't know how to keep books. I can make bagels, but so what? You need that
Yeah.
the
So wait,
phalanx of
Oscar,
people around.
Oscar, you can make bagels.
yeah.
No, that's why I don't make bagels.
Wait, I'm like, why even use that? You
Watch,
know,
no,
I used to make bagels at Stu Leonard's in Norwalk, actually, in their bakery.
Josh,
a guy
watch Phil's face.
knows how to, a guy that knows how to make bagels should use bagels as an example, not the guy that doesn't know how to make bagels.
All right, watch Phil's face. I do know how to make muffins.
Okay, now that we've come to the conclusion of our program, is there anything that you'd like our audience to know? Like, how can they reserve your services and so on and so forth? If they want to find you, reach out to you.
Absolutely. So, couple of things. If you look up, I believe my LinkedIn is J Gharis Face Photos. So that's JGHARIS Face Photos on LinkedIn, or you can look up my name, Joshua Gharis, on LinkedIn. Also, my website is jgharisfacephotos.com. And my direct business line is 475-434-0863. I actually just got that so that things aren't confusing personal and business. So yeah, that's how people can find me. That's probably the best way. Also on Facebook, Joshua Gharis. Feel free to connect with me there as well. So yeah, that's about how people can get a hold of me.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. That was, this was anything but not interesting because I learned a lot from you, and I really didn't learn anything from Oscar. Really, just I mean,
You know what you
I
learned?
have him
You learn how to
on
pronounce his
here
last name,
because
Gharis.
I have him on here because he looks like Santa Claus. That's the real reason. I want to
You
be
learn to
Santa
pronounce
Claus's
his last name.
friend. I give him a rapper name, okay? Josh G. That's his rapper name.
We went through Jared, Gandhi, all sorts of stuff this morning.
Why do you have to do that to me, man?
Because I
I
love
thought there
you.
was love between us.
There's no, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't say anything to you. So
Oh, okay. Is that what it is? Thank you.
it's a
I'm
it's a sibling thing.
working on you not liking me. I'm going to work on you not liking me so you don't say anything. How's that?
Well, Mom always liked you best anyway, so I got to get back to you.
Well, John, you see what I have to live with. If you want to adopt him at some point, just please let me know. I will send you the paperwork. Not a
I'll send
problem.
you muffins.
But
I'm good at those.
anyway, love everybody. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Focus on you. Josh, thank you so much for coming on. And we
Thanks
will
a
see
lot.
you again next week with our featured guest. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.